Why is Pressman so determined to find your ship 12 years later?
I've said all I can. I'm under direct orders from Admiral Pressman not to discuss this, sir.
Very well. He's an admiral, I'm a captain. I cannot force you to disobey his orders. Therefore, I will have to remain in the dark on this mission. And I will just have to trust that you will not let Pressman put this ship at unnecessary risk. And if I find that that trust has been misplaced, then I will have to reevaluate the command structure of this ship. Dismissed.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Fully Functional, a TNG podcast. I'm Maggie, joined by Jeff and Dory.
Yo.
Jeff and I are veteran Trekkies, and Dory is a newly minted Trekkie, and we are taking her on her first journey through Star Trek: The Next Generation. Today we're discussing the Season 7 episode, The Pegasus, original air date January 8th, 1994, and as always we'll take it to Dory for the recap.
Okay, so we start off. We're in the observation deck, and there's a big banner on the wall. Oh, observation lounge. My bad. There's a banner that says Captain Picard Day, and then there's a table with a bunch of drawings and some creepy cursed dolls of Picard, and there's also a paper mache bust of him. It is interesting.
Yeah. I was expecting you to be very delighted by this.
It was very funny to me. It very much, I think the art looks like it was definitely made by children, but that banner, that looks like adults trying to be like children.
Oh yeah, definitely agreed with that.
So that banner wasn't fooling me. But so this is Captain Picard Day, and it's the children, Troy says this is the children of the Enterprise's favorite school activity, and I was like, that's upsetting. If this is one of their favorite school activities is Captain Picard Day, what are these kids being taught? And then Picard picks up a drawing of himself standing on top of a planet, and he's the size is not correct, and Picard goes, well, they seem to have a somewhat exaggerated impression of me. And then Riker picks up one of the little cursed dolls, and puts it in front of his face, and he goes, does a pretty good impression of Picard, and he goes, I don't know, I think the resemblance is rather striking. Wouldn't you agree, number one?
Fun fact about that moment, actually, the entire reason that they did this scene was because Frakes was doing impressions of Captain Picard behind the scenes, and they wanted a way to work one into the episode.
Honestly, it was pretty good.
Yep.
I enjoyed it. And then Picard goes, isn't there something else you have to do? And then Riker, still in his impression, goes, I'll be on the bridge. And then he walks away with the toy, and they're like, Troy makes a face and he puts it back, and I was just like, what is he gonna do with that doll? What does he need the doll for? What does he need a little mini Picard for? Who is he? Me? I have all my TNG merch. So then, so it's Troy lets us know this is a contest, and Picard has to pick first, second, third, and 4 honorable mentions.
And that sounds like half the fucking class already.
Yeah, I was like, is this just participation badge at this point?
Yeah, basically.
And then, incoming message from Admiral Blackwell. This is priority 1. Okay, so Picard takes the call in the observation lounge, and we see Admiral Blackwell, who so far has not proven to be evil, but there's time.
Yeah. I mean, she only just showed up.
Yeah. So she's like, what you guys doing? And Picard's like, yeah, we're doing some stuff here, and everything else is totally normal. Ship is fully operational or fully functional, if you will.
Hey, that's the name of the show.
So then Blackwell's like, hey, fuck all that shit. You guys are going to go rendezvous with the starship Crazy Horse, and you're going to pick up a guy from Starfleet intelligence, and he'll give you other stuff. But also, she's like, we've authorized you to exceed warp limitations. And I was like, have we forgotten why we have these warp limitations. So that's dumb. Please don't go over those warp limitations.
The point of it
we realized why you
the
shouldn't.
point of it is to
I know
say,
it's like it's supposed to be. It's urgent.
It's
It's urgent.
Yeah.
But
It's also I also don't know if those are the same warp regulations like from that episode
They are.
because well, the reason I say is because those were for a very specific part of space.
No. They're
not just space in general.
no, but I think it's like for anywhere.
They're applied across the across the Federation.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the intention when they wrote that episode, and afterwards they're like, okay, we're going to keep this in mind, and then once they get to Voyager, they just kind of canon it out. Yeah, I think they get rid of it in like a single line of dialogue at some point.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I like that. I can't think there's anything so urgent. I still don't think this was urgent.
No.
Anyways, okay, so it's a super fucking secret assignment. Blackwell's like, I don't want to say this over subspace channels, so you guys will just like meet up with the person and they'll tell you in person. So I was like, wow, so Starfleet intelligence, eh? You guys fucking suck.
Yeah.
Oh no, okay, that's not true. They do. After watching this, they do suck. But prior to watching this, I was like, I've heard a lot of jobs you guys could have done and didn't.
Actually, interesting little tidbit about that. So, this was the first episode where Ronald D. Moore, because he's the one who wrote the episode, was explicitly allowed to include the term Starfleet intelligence in it, because before this he had snuck it into a couple of episodes and like managed to get away with it, but apparently the word around like the brass was like, no, there is no such thing as like a secret service for Starfleet,
which is very stupid, and obviously we know.
Yeah,
not
well,
true.
that's the whole thing about the way that Gene Roddenberry looked at things, is they were still kind of following that, and Ron Moore was one of those people that was like, no, we need to make this universe more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
So then Blackwell, before they say goodbye, she goes, she sees the banner in the background, and she's like, Captain Picard Day, and then Picard says, yes, it's for the children. I'm a role model. And then she goes, I'm sure you are. Starfleet out, and the Picard just looks like he immediately regretted what he just said. Yeah. He's like, I can't believe I just told another grown-ass adult that I'm a role model.
Yeah.
So then now we cut to Picard walking down the hall with Riker, and Picard says, because Riker's asking how the rest of the day was. Picard picked a 7-year-old who made the bust, I think. Mm-hmm. And Riker finds this like funny, and Picard's like, oh, you'll be interested to know that I've arranged for Commander Riker Day next month. I'm even considering making an entry myself. And then Riker just goes, great. So Riker and Picard, they go to meet the Starfleet intelligence agent or whatever in the transporter room. Mm-hmm. And who is it but John Locke from the TV show Lost?
Yeah.
aka the actor's name is Terry O'Quinn, and this shakes Riker. I guess he also watched Lost.
Yeah, he's like, aren't you supposed to be on the island?
Yeah. So we meet Admiral Eric Pressman, who was Riker's first commanding officer after he finished school. And he was his officer on he was the captain of the Pegasus. Mm-hmm. And so the news is, the hot goss, if you will, is that the Romulans have found the Pegasus. And gasp. So we have a meeting with Picard, Riker, Geordi, and Eric. And so Pegasus was lost in the sector 12 years ago, along with most of the crew. Oh no. Eric was the captain, and Riker was his helmsman, which at the time I didn't understand what that actually was. I now know Riker was just an ensign.
Yeah. He basically did like he drove the ship. It's like the person who isn't Data on the bridge. That's the helmsman.
Ensign Gates. Her name is Ensign Gates.
Yeah.
They say it in this episode for the first fucking time. It's so funny because we've seen her a bunch of times, and
Yeah.
I was like, we don't know her name, and then they say it in this episode.
Yeah,
and
she
then
finally got
it's-
her SAG card or something.
She
She has
Good
a
for her.
line.
actually, the
Good
single
for
line that
her.
she gets in the episode was ad-libbed a bit because there was an issue where originally Data was supposed to say that, and apparently she piped up on set and was just like, actually, Data's not the one driving the ship. I am. And they were just like, oh, well, we don't have time to set up another shot, so we'll pay you to do your line, and that's it. So she got her line.
Nice.
Nice.
I love that. I love that for her. Okay,
Nice, she got her union
so
money.
I love that. A++.
Yeah.
So the ship was destroyed by a warp core breach. Eric Riker and 7 other people made it to an escape pod before it exploded or whatever. From the pod, they saw an explosion, whatever, ship disappeared. No wreckage was found, so the Starfleet just declared the ship destroyed. So, but all of this changed 3 days ago. Starfleet intelligence has an operative in Romulan High Command, and he sent them a message that a Romulan's warbird had located a piece of debris of the Pegasus in the Devlin system, which was positively identified as it came from the Pegasus. So the warbird was ordered to locate the rest of the ship, if possible, and retrieve it. So
many
we learn that
gasps all in a row.
Yeah, listen, here's the thing. I would like to hope, but my expectations are low, that the fact that this like secret agent, there's someone embedded into the Romulan High Command, they mention this in this, that we get some kind of reference to it later, or we get to see that or something. That would be cool, but I'm not hedging any bets on that.
Yeah.
I know better.
Yeah.
I know better than that.
Yeah, probably not.
So the Pegasus was a prototype / experimental engine with new weapon system, and some of their designs were used in constructing the Enterprise. So the Enterprise orders are to find the Pegasus before the Romulans do, salvage if possible, destroy if necessary. And Riker is like giving a really weird vibe regarding Eric.
Yeah,
And
you can
there's a tension, and it's really strange.
Yeah, right from the get-go, you can tell Riker is like, kind of off kilter, and like there's something sus going on.
Like if Riker could put your finger under your collar and do that he would like that.
Yeah.
That's his vibe this whole episode.
Actually, testament to Jonathan Frakes' acting, because he
did a good job. He was honestly great this episode. He did a very good job.
Yeah.
So they get to the Devlin system, no sign of the Romulans at the moment, and then immediately, just kidding, the Romulans decloak and they're right in front of them.
Surprise, Romulans.
Yeah, and so they're like, okay, red alert, shields up, whatever. And they're like, oh, wait, but they're being hailed. And then we get maybe the smuggest Romulan I think we've ever come across that I can remember.
Oh, I love him. What a shit-eating grin.
Yeah.
So,
And honestly, like that's saying a lot, because like the whole Romulan's whole deal is that they're smug.
like, to me, this guy takes the cake.
Yeah,
So we
you're
meet
not wrong.
Commander Cyril of the Romulan vessel Terex. And he has heard of Picard. He's like, wow, so blessed to have met you. He doesn't really say that, but you know what I mean. And then we get truly the most passive-aggressive conversation I think we might have had in the show so far that I can remember. So Cyril goes, I hope our sudden appearance didn't startle you. And the Picard goes, not at all, but your unannounced appearance may have unfortunate consequences. It would be an awful shame if your ship were damaged due to some misunderstanding. And then Cyril goes, I am touched by your concern for my ship, but I doubt we were ever in any danger. May I ask what you're doing in this system? And the Picard's like, I might ask you the same question. And then Cyril's like, we're conducting a survey of gaseous anomalies. And the Picard's like, oh, how interesting. So are we. Perhaps we could combine our efforts and share our findings. And then Cyril's like, I doubt our objectives are compatible. And the Picard's like, Perhaps you're right. And then Cyril's like, this has been a most pleasant conversation, but we must return to our research. And then Picard says, then I won't keep you. I was like, that was truly...
That was
a
that
wild
scene.
exchange.
It's just
like
Yeah.
the tension, but the saying, like the smiling through it was so good.
that is
then-
neither the first nor the last time that you get that with Romulans done this well. This is just one of the better examples of it. Yeah.
This guy was great. I tried to look him up on IMDb, but my IMDb
Oh.
actually wasn't working. I couldn't get to the TNG page, so because he initially actually for a second reminded me of Andre Braugher, but I don't think that I'm fairly certain that's not Andre Braugher, but I couldn't check. My IMDb just fully wasn't working. So, okay, Picard's like, all right, call off red alert, but let's maybe keep an eye on the Warbird because they are being suspicious.
Yeah.
So it will take about 7 days for them to scan the whole system to see if they can find anything from the Pegasus. But the Romulans have a 2-day start, so best to get on it. So in the meantime, Riker and Eric they're in 10 forward. And first thing Eric asks is, how long have you had the beard? And then Riker responds with 4 years, but I am pretty certain that is not correct unless time moves differently in the show, because he had the beard in season 2.
Was it season 2 that he got it? I thought it was season 3.
Yeah. No, it's season 2. I looked it up.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because so I was able to get on IMDb when I looked up the date of when this episode came out, and then I went we saw that part. This is when I paused to go look up the I was like, I need to know. So I went to IMDb, found a photo from an episode in season 2 where in like the picture he has his beard, and then I exit it, and then when we see the Romulans later, then I was like, oh, I should check to see who this is, and then I couldn't get back onto IMDb. So so he had a beard in season 2, so that I don't think that is right.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay,
So
well,
then
I mean, he was ballparking, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it's not the end of the world, but
But
I'm right and he's wrong. But yeah. So Riker says that he got tired of hearing how young he looked. Which honestly, that's fair. He does look very different without the beard.
Yeah.
And apparently his old nickname was Ensign Babyface. Which is very funny. Okay, so then so then Eric makes like a comment that he's like that Riker I wrote Eric must have done a number on Riker if he thought that Riker doesn't have a sense of humor, because he's
Yeah.
like, oh, and then Riker's like, yeah, I must have lightened up with age, and I was like, what are you talking about? Riker absolutely has like a sense of humor. I feel like everybody knows Riker had a sense of humor.
Yeah.
But then as we get farther into this episode and we learn of their interactions, yeah, I can fucking understand why you wouldn't think he has a sense of humor. You know him for a very short time,
Yeah.
and in a very distressing situation where he's not going to be like, hey guys, want to hear some jokes?
Yep.
Like,
Yeah. And
Eric sucks.
Yeah, and it gets established that he was fresh out of the academy, so he's obviously like you're super like going to be like afraid to like break the rules, or like you're like when you're like that, like you think you have to be like mega serious at all times, you know?
Yeah, they say later in the episode it's 7 months. Like the main like that explosion when they left the ship, that was 7 months after Riker left the academy.
Yeah.
So he was very, very green. So we do learn there is a mysterious experiment that was being done on the Pegasus, and Riker is asked if he thinks that they did the right thing, and I'm immediately suspicious of this experiment. Mm-hmm. So Eric then says, what happened was a tragedy, yes, but it wasn't your fault and it wasn't mine. What we were doing was for the good of the Federation, and we can't blame ourselves if others couldn't see that. And then Riker says, I know, but maybe we went about it the wrong way. And then Eric says, well, this time we may have a chance to do it the right way. if this mission is successful, if we find the Pegasus and the experiment we can finish, what we started 12 years ago. And then Riker, with disdain in his voice, goes, "You want to try again?" Mm-hmm. And then we learn that the chief of Starfleet Security has personally given Eric her full support, and her name is Admiral Rayner. So we can add an Admiral Rayner to the list of corrupt admirals. And then Riker is like whispering at this point because they're at a table in 10 forward in a public place, and he's like, "How many people know about this?" And Eric, regular level of voice, regular volume, is just like, "Not many, but let's make sure we keep it that way." I'm like, "Girl, go somewhere private. Why are you having this alleged top secret conversation in a public space where you are using a normal speaking volume?"
Yeah, seriously.
Riker's like whispering, and he's like, "I hope no one else finds out about this top secret assignment." What? It's honestly a miracle that no one else heard this, though.
Yeah.
Admiral Rayner those top secret orders for Riker coded into the Enterprise computer. Gross. So then also at regular volume, Eric's like, "You can't tell anyone, especially Picard." Like, Jesus. And then he's like, "Also, unlike 12 years ago, nothing's going to stop us now." I'm like, oh boy, I desperately want someone to stop you. I don't even know what this is, but I'm like, this is truly bad vibes.
Yeah.
Truly, from the start, this guy sucks.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I just wrote, "This is very bad. I'm concerned."
Actually, Ron Moore stated that he was happy to announce that that he has written yet another insane admiral. When he tabled this episode script, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, you got it.
Yeah, he fucking nailed that. Okay, so Picard and Eric then are chatting in his quarters, and we learned that Picard literally only met Riker for the first time when they went to pick him up at Farpoint.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
I think they said that in the first episode, but I mean, it was a long time ago that we watched that.
Yeah. This, like, Eric's like, "Well, why did you pick him? Like, what's the deal?" And we learned that there was like 50 candidates and everyone's kind of looked the same, and like there was recommendations, statistics, blah blah blah. And then Picard says there was an incident on Altair. He was almost like passed on Riker's application or whatever, but then this caught his eye. He said, there was an incident on Altair 3 where Will was the first officer of the Hood. He refused to let Captain DeSoto beam down during a crisis. He disobeyed a direct order, and he risked a general court-martial because he thought that he was right. And when I read that, I knew that I had found my number one. And then Eric's like, you wanted someone with a history of disobedience? And that Picard says, I wanted someone who would stand up to me, someone who was more concerned with the safety of the ship and accomplishing the mission that with how it might look on his record. To me, that's what makes of a good officer. Sorry, I might have fucked that line up. I went through 3 pens while recording this, while writing my notes, and my writing is a little worse than usual, which says a lot. So Eric is like, yeah, I feel like it's more important to have someone who trusts my judgment completely and listens and does whatever I say blindly. And just like follows my directions without hesitation. Cool. This guy definitely is definitely a something.
Yeah, he definitely sucks.
Yeah. And Picard then is like, by the way, the timeline for the events with Pegasus is like really vague. And I was wondering if you could like shed a little bit of light of like right before like you guys left the ship, like what was going on, and anything to add. And Eric's like, no, but Riker followed his orders and without question, and 12 years ago, and 9 people survived, so that's it. Picard does not find this amusing.
Yeah.
He's just like, okay. So now we cut to what might be, it's not a useless scene, but at the same time, kind of an out-of-pocket scene in a way.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a complaint. This is not a complaint. It's fine. But just like, so just kind of random. Okay. So we get to Riker. He goes into his sick bay with his white wrap shirt fully open to reveal a big, like, red blotch on, like, by his ribs. He was doing batleth moves with Worf, and he, quote, jabbed when he should have blocked. And so Riker has some broken ribs. And so him and his chest hair just, like, lean on the examination table, and such a pose, quite a pose. And so Dr. C, they heals him, he's fine. But
and she
Riker
puts
is, like,
her hand, like, right on his nipple.
yeah,
I just
there
want to
is
point out.
yes, absolutely. There is, like, I noticed, like, this is a wild kind of close-up of Riker's nipple.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't explicitly
listen.
say so anywhere, but I got the feeling that this scene was kind of tacked on because, like, it doesn't fit.
It's like out of pocket, but it's
like it makes
it's fine,
it makes
I guess.
sense. There's nothing wrong with the scene itself. It's just the way that it's edited into the episode feels weird. It feels rushed.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. It's just, it feels random.
Or
And
it could have been, maybe there was like another scene where you see him doing the batleth moves, and it's like clear he's like, using the training to like work out his frustrations, and he like goes overboard or whatever, and then they had to cut that out.
Possible.
yeah, because like seeing him get distracted would have made more sense rather than them telling us that he was. So like, so he's healed, but he's like pissed at himself because he got distracted at a crucial moment.
Yeah, I didn't find anything about it personally. It just is weirdly edited in. It might have just been a fuck up because they make these in like a week, so who knows.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying like that's another possibility. Like maybe this was attached to something that made more sense, and then they had to cut it out or whatever.
Yeah. But Dr. C is like, girl, you made a mistake. No harm done.
Yeah.
You'll fucking learn. It's fine. But Riker is like, leaves sickbay like remarkably frustrated. So like, okay, I mean, listen.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Because it's supposed to be a parallel to the decisions he made, like, back then or whatever.
Yeah. So back on the bridge, they've been scanning the system, and Geordi has spotted a subspace resonance signature coming from an asteroid. So the variants show that it looks like a pattern of a Federation warp core. Ooh. The signal... Oh, it's coming from beneath the asteroid's surface. And Data explains that there's like a bunch of chasms, and the Pegasus could have like drifted in there. Like, who knows? We don't know. And then, oh no, Romulan warbird is heading to them. And they have like, it would take 6 hours to figure out the exact location of where that signal's coming from, the warp core stuff, figure out where the Pegasus actually is. So Riker's like, we should maybe just destroy the asteroid. And from that, I was like, Riker, the fact that he immediately was like, let's destroy it, makes me think that he was not on board with whatever this experiment was.
Yeah.
And would rather it like not be continued. So it's like, okay. But Eric is like, no, we don't want to destroy the asteroid, like unless it's last resort. And then he's like, Picard, third option. And Picard's like, I don't know, we could fucking like block or hide the asteroid, whatever, like the signals from it to buy time. And Geordi's like, yeah, sure, we can like put radiation and shit. There's already radiation here, so we'll like add other radiation and they won't be able to find it. It's fine.
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, so either we like do this, it fools the Romulans, we can go for a wander to make us look like we're keep looking and then revisit this later, or the Romulans find it anyways and they're fucked. They take the ship. But the plan works. They're able to like cover the signal, whatever, the Romulans leave. Meep. Picard asks Eric if he wants to join him for a late dinner, and Eric's like, oh, no thanks, I'm going to turn in early. The second Picard leaves, Picard is also like, Riker, bring me the reports when you go off duty. And so then Eric, literally the second Picard walks off, Eric's like, you and I need to talk in the ready room. And I immediately, I don't like that he just was like, we're going to use Picard's ready room without permission.
Mm-hmm.
That, I know
Yeah.
Riker technically was the captain at that point, but I don't like that Eric thought he could do whatever the fuck he wanted
Well,
there. That's Picard's
technically-
space / Riker's space.
Admirals
I know that
Admirals can kind of do whatever the fuck they want on ships.
I don't care. I
Fire.
don't like him.
Yeah.
I don't like that behavior.
Oh yeah,
It doesn't
I
show
know.
any courtesy. I don't like it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, but they are technically allowed to do that.
I don't care about
Mm-hmm.
hierarchies of the military.
Fair.
So Eric is pissed as fuck, though. So in the ready room, he was so mad that Riker even suggested destroying the asteroid. And Riker's like, I don't know. I kind of thought that, like, getting the Pegasus into the Romulan's hand was like,
Like
oh,
that.
he was like, okay, I got it. I figured out what I wrote. He was like, I thought, like, maybe not letting the Pegasus get in the Romulan's hand was kind of the most important thing here, not, like, recovering, just making sure they can't get it. I thought that was kind of the vibe, but apparently not. And Eric is just like, I wrote so many times, Eric is such an asshole, or Eric is such a dick. And Eric's like, yeah, listen, it's necessary to keep everyone else. Oh, he was like, I bet you're like feeling like this is pretty hard to do and it kind of sucks and whatever, that you have to keep everyone else in the dark for this, but it's super necessary and to keep everyone in the dark. And Riker's like, actually, you think it's necessary. And then this reaction surprises Eric and he's like, you have changed. And then at this point, which is important to me, Eric sits down on the couch. And he goes on and on about, Riker's changed in 12 years. And then Riker says, a lot of things can change in 12 years, Admiral. And then Eric goes, yes, they can. But it's important that a man changes the right things in his life. Not his sense of duty, not his sense of loyalty. And then Riker said, I'd like to think that I haven't changed those things, sir. And then Eric says, I would like to think that too. Because these things say more about a man than the rank on his collar or the uniform he wears. They define him. And then Eric stands up and gets off the couch. And then 12 years ago, a lot of older and more... this is still Eric talking. 12 years ago, a lot of older and more seasoned officers turned away from their duty, but you stood up for what was right. I'm sorry, Will. I know the kind of man you are. I know that I can still count on you again. And Riker looks pissed. I did really want to note that he literally sits down on the couch for a couple lines and stands up for the rest of the lines. So for no fucking reason. I don't know why he sat down.
It was it was for a couple reasons, not like for like filmmaking reasons, not like actual like good like
it just, to me,
reasons.
the fact that like he sat down for like 3 lines and then stood back up, and I was like, why did you sit down, man?
There's sort of like two main like visual language reasons. Like, number one is just to like make the scene more interesting by having the characters like
The
change
different levels
position.
and shit. I assumed it would be kind of filmmaking related, but like logistics wise, like he just sat down for such a short time. And that was so weird.
And it's like to visualize like the power dynamic also, because if you're not familiar with like I'm not talking to you, Dory, just the audience listening. If you're not familiar with like sort of the standard like sort of visual language of like filmmaking and stuff, usually in a scene the person sitting down is the one who's the most powerful. Because they get to relax and sit and whatever, and the other people have to like, you know, stand and like do more energy and like approach them, that sort of thing. So like I'm assuming it was like that was part of the reason, but they did it in such an awkward way that it just didn't feel organic or natural.
Because, like, if he sat down at the beginning of the scene and then got up at the end, I'd be like, okay. But they already were having this argument, and then he sat down, and then he stood up. Like,
Yeah.
literally 3 lines later. So I was like, what?
Yeah, it was very clunky
but-
the way they did it.
Yeah, but Riker is fucking pissed off. And also this speech is so manipulative.
Yeah.
That he's just talking about, oh yeah, listen, they turned away from their duty and, loyalty and duty, loyalty and duty, blah, 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 blah.
Duty.
Duty.
I always find it so interesting. This is just a side note, how like people always talk about like, oh, kind of man you are. No one ever says what kind of woman you are. There's always so many qualities of like what makes a man.
Yeah.
But it's always a discussion of like what makes a woman when it comes to like trans people. Otherwise, no one cares about what makes a woman. But it's what makes a man, a real man. Nothing. This is all a construct. None of it is real. Leave people alone.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it
it's
is
like
just
the-
something I notice in movies and TV shows that
Yeah.
constantly everyone wants to talk about what kind of a man you are. Like,
Yeah,
why
it
can't you
just-
just be a good person and shut the fuck up?
Like, like men under patriarchy are very insecure all the time. So there's
Oh,
always
yeah.
So the like in our sort of current patriarchal structure, one of the most effective ways to like evoke something in a man is to threaten their masculinity, right?
Very much so.
Because
Yeah.
And that's
considered
so boring.
important. Yeah.
And it's so boring. Like, grow up. Stop
Yeah.
caring what other men think of you.
That's
They
why
all
I-
suck anyways.
That's why I really like that scene in Captain Marvel. Like, whether you think that's a good movie or not, like, whatever. But there's a scene in Captain Marvel where she, like, is having, like, a showdown with, like, the bad guy or whatever. And he's like, come on, prove yourself to me and whatever. And she's like, I don't have to prove shit to you. Bye. And she's just like,
Yeah.
like does whatever, because I can't remember the exact details, but it was like the equivalent of one of those scenes of like, where the guy throws down his weapon and it's like, let's settle this like men, use our fists.
Yeah. I
And
remember
it's like,
that.
not
Yeah.
like, no dude, I'm just gonna shoot you.
Yep.
Like, whatever. Like, I have nothing to prove. Like, I'm not concerned about like looking like a big
You're-
man,
Yeah. I don't need your approval.
Yeah, I'm not going to give you the fucking... I'm not Goku. I'm not going to give you the sensu bean like, right before I fucking defeated you.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be Goku. Okay, so now we cut to Picard having his dinner, and Riker comes in and brings him the scan analysis, and Picard then takes out his tablet and reads a report to Riker about allegedly, plot twist, there was a mutiny happening aboard the Pegasus. Right just prior to the destruction of the ship. And I wrote, because, okay, here's my thought. Because I already hated Eric so much at this point. I was like, did Eric blow up the ship to get back at the mutineers? Or maybe did they like mutiny because of the experiment? Well, I was half right of one of those two questions.
Yeah.
Those theories. So Picard was like, yeah, I had to pull a lot of favors and like whatever to get this report. And he like very much obviously is like does not trust Eric because I mean Eric is
would?
full of shit.
Yeah.
But this mutiny report was like super fucking classified. So then Picard says, so not only was the Pegasus carrying sensitive equipment, which must not be allowed to fall into Romulan hands, not only was there a mysterious explosion which seemed to destroy the ship, but didn't, but it seems that there was a mutiny on board. And Picard, honestly, is so quietly pissed for so much of this episode. It's so good.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want your account of what the fuck's going on. And so then Riker, this is Riker's account. I kind of did a bit of not a summarization, a mix of his actual words and me summarizing.
Paraphrase.
Yes, paraphrase. That's a good way to put it. So, okay, it was a yellow alert. There was like tests running on the engine, but something went wrong. There was an explosion engineering. Lots of fucking people died. And the first officer, the chief in engineering, and most of the bridge crew mutinied against Eric. And they thought that he was jeopardizing the ship. And Riker thought, I guess at the time, keep in mind, he was young. I don't know how old he was, because I don't know how old he is now. But 12 years ago,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think if
I would
he's,
assume
like,
in his 20s somewhere.
yeah,
but
pretty
still,
like I would say early 20s. Like to me, that makes sense for like a graduation from the academy, sort of.
but at the same time, I don't think Riker's got to be late 30s, early 40s at this point.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know. Listen, it's fine. Whatever. I'm going to let this fall into the category where Worf is still 23 or something. So it's fine. I guess ages don't matter on the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Age is just a number.
So Riker, though, yeah, no. Riker thought that those officers were self-serving, disloyal, so he grabbed a phaser and defended his captain. I love that they say this multiple times, and like they really didn't want to come out and say that Riker killed someone, because that to me definitely makes it seem like that he shot to kill multiple people, maybe. I don't know.
I don't think he did kill anyone.
Yeah, that's not the
He
implication.
definitely,
The implication is that he
to me,
stood in front of them.
He shot people at least.
Did he?
Yeah.
That to me, that's like is what you just take the phaser and hold it out. To me, that's
It's
not.
But I mean,
anything.
the phasers do have a stun setting.
Yes, okay, so maybe either killed or stunned. But to me, this, I don't know, the way that they went like kind of around it made me think like he shot someone, like killed.
Yeah, they did kind of make it seem
that's the way that they made it. Like they didn't want to explicit. To me, the way that they made it sound is like they didn't want, especially when Eric talks about it later. It makes it seem like he did kill somebody, but they don't want to like
straight up
say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, because like defended his captain. Okay. So then a couple more people joined them, but most of the crew agreed with the mutiny. So there was like a whole firefight before they got to the pod, and like 5 minutes after they left the ship, it exploded. So Picard then he's reading the report, and he goes, the judge advocate also believes that the surviving officers are deliberately withholding vital information from this inquiry. Further investigation is required. End of reading the report. And then Picard says, Will, there was no further investigation. This report was classified, and then it was quietly buried. Why? And then Riker says, Sir, may I suggest you take this up with Admiral? And then Picard says, I'm taking this up with you, Will. The judge advocate thought that you were participating in a conspiracy to cover up the truth. Now, what the hell is going on here, Will? Why did the mutiny happen? Why is Pressman so determined to find your ship 12 years later? And then Riker says, I've said all I can. I'm under direct orders from Admiral Pressman not to discuss this, sir. And the Picard says, very well. He's an admiral. I'm a captain. I cannot force you to disobey his orders. Therefore, I will have to remain in the dark on this mission. And I will have to just trust that you will not let Pressman put this ship at unnecessary risk. And if I find that that trust has been misplaced, then I will have to reevaluate the command structure on this ship. Dismissed. When that last line or whatever about the command structure, Riker's face.
Yeah, you really
was
see the
so good.
Yeah, you really see the shock in his
shaken.
face.
Yeah. Oh, and Picard quietly mad is he's livid, but he's just like So then
it is
we get to
very
Picard.
scary too, seeing Picard like so quietly mad.
Yes. So then Picard calls Admiral Blackwell and to delay this mission, but she's like, girl, I don't really know much about what's going on, but the head of the Starfleet intelligence is watching, so request denied, bye. And so now the Enterprise has returned back to the asteroid, And they're like, okay, cool. How do we get in there? So they can't really transport. They can't take a shuttle. So Eric's like, let's just take the Enterprise. And
Everyone's
I'm
like,
cool.
what?
So they're pulling a fucking magic school bus here, I guess. Into the asteroid. They're going to risk the 1,000+ lives on the ship, I guess. And then again, I wrote, I hate Eric. And then I wrote, I hope he gets court-martialed. I didn't know for what yet, but I just wanted him to. So then Picard says, Mr. Data, will you please note in the ship's log that this action is being taken over my explicit objection? And then Data says, it is so noted, sir. Because Picard has literally no power at this point. Eric is just like in charge. He's like, overruled. We're doing my idea. Bye. So the Enterprise enters the chasm, and they are kind of like shaking around. It's like really tight in there. And Picard tells Eric, he's like, I will abort the mission if the passage narrows less than 50 meters, and he can charge Picard with subordination if he wants to, but he's not going to risk the Enterprise to salvage a fucking ship. Like, that's crazy. All right, then we see it. We finally see the Pegasus, and it is like fully embedded into the rock of the asteroid. We learn it's 65% asteroid at this point.
Yeah.
And so Data can extend the ship's shields because there was like a hole in the hull somewhere. So, but he can extend the shields so they have like, they're not going to be susceptible to like the elements, and they can they can power up a life support system so they can get in there. So then Eric's like, just me and Riker, we want just us to go to engineering. Picard's like, actually, I'd really like to send a proper away team, but Eric's like, no, it's just us. No one else can touch the shit. And Picard, so mad. All right, so now we cut to Eric and Riker on the Pegasus, and there are dead bodies all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
It is spooky. So Riker immediately goes to like look at the wall, which is now rock, and he's like, oh god, how many fucking bodies are in the rocks somewhere now? And this is like a huge bummer.
Yeah.
And Eric is though like really on task here. He's just ignoring all his former crewmates, and he just goes to find the equipment. It's intact. Isn't that great, Riker? But Riker's like, actually no. I kind of hoped it was destroyed or ended up like stuck in the rock or some shit. Like we couldn't get to it. And then he's like, okay, but while we're on the topic, I'm going to finally make a choice that I should have maybe made earlier. That experiment was bad 12 years ago. It's bad today. We shouldn't do it. We shouldn't continue with this. And he's like, do you see all these fucking bodies? Look at all these people who fucking died for this. And Eric is like, well, these people did, it's their own fault. They tried to shut down an experiment they didn't understand. And Riker's like, no, we fucking did this. Like, that's a wild thing. But Eric is like, wow, that doesn't sound like the guy who grabbed a phaser and defended his captain 12 years ago. And Riker's like, yeah, I've had 12 years to think about it. And if we went back in time, I'd put the phaser at you instead. And then Eric calls the crew cowards, and I'm like, wow, we've hit peak villain.
Yeah, seriously.
Peak Admiral villain. And this experiment was for use against the Romulans, and Riker, at this point we still don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And Riker admits that he was young and stupid and was just following orders, and then Riker just like expected Riker to like shut the fuck up, and he's like, I made you, and I can just as easily break you. And I'm like, girl, what are you even
that was a stupid comeback, honestly. I didn't
Yeah.
like that line.
Like, that was so fucking weird.
Well, he obviously, like, the power's gone to his head. Like, he obviously thinks he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, he thinks he can sit down on a chair for 3 lines and get up. The power has gone to his head.
Yeah. He thinks he can sit on Picard's couch.
Yeah. What a bitch. What an asshole. So, all right. So Eric is able to get the equipment out, and him and Riker go back to the Enterprise. So then we learn that in the meantime, the Romulans have blocked the entrance to the chasm, and now the Enterprise is trapped. So Cyril calls, and he's like, oh, no, we were just, doing our geological experiments and accidentally sealed you in. Oh my God, my bad. Maybe you should have told us what your plans were, and maybe this wouldn't have happened. We can help, though. Like, your crew just needs to beam to our ship, and then we can all go to Romulus and braid each other's hair, and then we can return you to the Federation.
Yeah.
And Picard's like, oh my God, that's so generous of you guys. Let me just, think about it, and I'll get back to you. Okay, thanks, bye. So they're like, hey, obviously that's not an option, because that's ridiculous. Like, no, that's not an option.
They'll be Romulan prisoners.
Yeah. So they're trying to brainstorm on how to get the fuck out of there. And then Riker is just like, actually, we could use this piece of equipment that was the whole reason we're here for. And we learn it's a prototype of a Federation cloaking device. And then Eric goes, you just ended your career, Will. And so we learn in the Treaty of Algeron, the Federation specifically agreed to not develop a cloaking device. And this is like the agreement that's been between them and the Romulans, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been
the
the case for 60 years specifically because of this.
Yeah, basically one of the conditions for like Romulus agreeing like not to go to war is that the Federation will never try to develop a cloaking device.
Ron Moore apparently wrote that to shut people up at fan conventions.
Oh.
Because they kept asking,
hilarious.
like, the Federation's known about this for like 100 years. Why haven't they made one?
Yeah. I mean, it's a fair question.
Yeah. Then so Eric is like, this is the biggest mistake that's like, well, that agreement is the biggest mistake we've ever made. Fuck peace. I'm in charge now. And then he's like, Worf, escort the captain to his quarters. And then Worf,
it's very funny.
He just stands there and then like just crosses his arms defiantly. I had to pause.
I love how extra it is.
Exactly,
I had to pause.
Yeah.
Because I was like dying. I was like, Worf,
because it's exactly
drama queen. I love it.
Yeah, I love it because it gives me the same energy as like a defiant toddler.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I love it every time. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's great.
And then Riker then has like a smirk on his face, and he's like, says to Eric, I don't think anyone's gonna come to your defense this time. And then I just wrote, Mutiny 2, Electric Boogaloo. Because I mean, that's like low-key what we're doing right now, I guess. So, okay, but also the crazy thing with this device, it's not just a cloaking device, it changes the structure of matter. So in theory, a ship using this device could pass through normal matter. So Data is like, yeah, I will study the device to figure out how to make it compatible with the Enterprise. So they just basically sit in the asteroid for like 8 hours while Data and Geordi figure shit out.
It's also an air fryer.
So that really got me. Oh, that was really good.
Because when you said like not only is it whatever, it just reminded me of like infomercials.
Oh, like infomercials, but wait, there's more.
Yeah.
Okay, so Geordi and Data have figured it out. They've scienced. They're ready to go. And Geordi's like, okay, but we need to watch the intercooler levels, because if they get too high, they'll like blow up the whole relay system. And Riker's like, wait, that must be what happened to the Pegasus. So the ship was like went into their like the phased state, and then once they got off it, and then it looked like it exploded because it just disappeared. So it actually, I think, went invisible. And then it just kind of floated around until it hit the asteroid. Well, it kind of went through the asteroid, and then the phase failed. And so then when it assembled, it was partway already like in the asteroid, so it's just stuck there. So they're like, all right, let's get this shit working. So the cloaking, it works. So they're invisible. They're like, let's get the fuck out. So Worf then says they will hit the rock. They will reach rocks in 5 seconds. I timed it. It took 10 seconds and 28 milliseconds from when Worf said it will take 5 seconds, like when he finished his line, to when, like on the screen, when it changed from rock to like that kind of light, I don't know, that flashy thing that it was doing. 10 seconds, 28 milliseconds. So I do think time might be measured differently.
Yeah.
In TNG, which makes why like the 12 years in Worf 23 makes a bit more sense now, because for them 5 seconds is 10 seconds our time. Okay, so they clear the asteroid. They're out. And then Picard's like, all right, decloak everyone. But Eric's like, no, then the Romulans will know. And Picard's like, yeah, good. Soon everyone will know about this. And Picard's like, Worf, tell the Warbird that the government will be contacted about this incident. They need to know. And so then Picard's like, Eric, we're charging you with being an asshole, but also the violation of the Treaty of Algeron, and as captain of the Enterprise, you are under arrest. And Riker's like, unfortunately, this kind of means you gotta arrest me too.
Yeah.
And Picard's like, all right, I guess carry on. So Riker and Eric are led away. So then later Picard goes to see Riker in his cell, and he sends the guard away. And Picard tells Riker there'll be a full inquiry once they reach Starbase 247, which will lead to a general court-martial of Admiral Pressman, another Admiral corruption situation, and several others at Starfleet Intelligence. So Riker will also be investigated for his involvement, and he will have some hard questions to answer. And Riker then, like, he wonders if he should have come forward earlier, but Picard's like, listen, when the time came down to it, you told the truth, and now you will face the consequences. And Picard is still proud to have Riker as his first officer. And then he leads him out of the room. And episode has concluded.
Yeah.
Honestly, great episode.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this
good.
episode.
Yeah, I forgot how good this episode was.
I didn't. I knew what we were going into.
Yeah. And
I think for once, they actually had stakes that were like the payoff of what the device was actually good.
Yeah,
was
yeah.
actually a big ass deal with like actual like consequences. Like that is because we've had so many where like the build up is like, oh, this crazy thing, and then it's like meet merp,
And-
this is nothing.
Yeah.
But this is actually a very big deal.
yeah, and I think this adds a lot to Riker's character too.
It does, yeah.
Because, like,
Yeah.
this also, like, it fits in perfectly with why Riker, like, because they establish Riker as a person who will defy the captain if he feels he needs to. And this offers, like, a really good, like, backstory to why that is. Because he didn't, when he was first starting out, he was, loyal to a fault. And he realized it, and he basically, like, internally was like, I'm not going to let that happen again. I'm going to speak up when I need to, regardless of whether it's the captain or not.
Ron Moore actually wrote another episode with a very similar premise earlier on that, Dory, you probably remember. It's called The First Duty. And that's the one about... Duty. That's the one about Wesley not standing up for... not standing up for the truth at the Academy, which is, as I said, a very similar theme to this one. But Wesley did not have the benefit of 15 years of career history to hold him.
Yeah, well, Wesley's, like, pretty close in age to when Riker, helped out, what's-his-face, John Locke.
That's right.
Yeah.
But Riker was protected by a captain, then Admiral, for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
Wesley did not get that kind of secret protection, and in the end, what Ron Moore actually intended for the episode was for Riker to see some pretty serious consequences for this. And originally he wrote it so that Riker would see like a formal reprimand, which would basically kill any chance of him ever getting beyond being a commander for like the rest of his career. And he was going to have it was going to have Riker like what do you call it? He was going to put him getting completely axed from the Enterprise as on the table, but Picard as being the one to prevent that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. They ultimately they did not go with that in the end.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea, because I think in the instance of the way that this story is told and what we know about Riker over the last 7 seasons is that he has actually earned the right to get past this.
Yes. Yeah, no, he totally has.
Yeah,
and it
sure.
was like, and like, I think that's a reasonable thing to do. It's like, you're a young ensign, like, what, like, are you not going to take the side of your captain? Like, it's one of those things that's like legitimately of like you were young and did not have the necessary experience yet to know like what the right move is, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, like he put his trust into his captain, like, unfortunately blindly, but you should be able to trust, you know, the captain. Like, they're supposed to be, they're supposed to have the best interests of everyone on the ship.
Yeah, and in the end, like the whole thing about the military hierarchy is, it's just like what Pressman was saying. Actually, like what it comes down to is that people will ultimately believe in duty, and then they will get further, and they'll get to Captain Picard's perspective, which is that sometimes doing the right thing means going against your duty.
Exactly.
I mean, it sounds like to me that there just wasn't a Captain Pressman day on the Pegasus.
No,
and that's
definitely
why
not.
even I'm not sure about the Canadian military, but I know this applies to the U.S. military. And whether this happens in practice or not, like, who's to say? Probably not. But on paper, in the U.S. military, you are duty bound to refuse, refuse orders if you feel they're like unjust or dangerous or whatever, right?
That's right.
Like, yeah. And not quite the same thing, but in Canada, it's like one of our labor rights is that you have the right to refuse unsafe work. You know?
Yes.
So it's like these things are, but it's another thing where like you have that right on paper, but like it's another thing to like apply them in reality. You know?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And there's another thing too. Sorry, I just like sorry to bring up my plane crash obsession. But there is a lot of issues, a lot of plane crashes that were like sort of pilot error were due to other crew members not speaking up when the captain was doing something wrong. Because it was like this whole like seniority and respect of authority thing, and it's like the captain is like making a really fucking wrong decision and no one's saying anything, even though they are like going to die, but the urge is so strong to like not speak up, to like not defy authority, that sometimes just fucking people die because people were too afraid to speak up.
That's right.
So it's it's a very like common part of human nature, you know, especially in cultures where like the respective authority is like stronger, you know.
Yeah. Like in the US, that
like
is especially
culture.
true, as there's this like worship of the military, but also the military actively trains people to essentially be like a zombie to duty.
Yeah.
And not to think for themselves. So, like, there's this disconnect in the rules that have been set by the people who are more morally grounded, and the actual actions of the way that the group conducts itself. And, like, obviously that's not something that's as much of a problem in the Star Trek universe, because people are shown to be, examples of the best of humanity for the most part, and all of these ideals that are not necessarily present in the real world when it comes to looking at, like, a grunt and things like that. And when we get around to DS9, we'll see some examples of where things, the lines get blurred a lot more than they do in TNG. But
Yeah.
TNG is overtly optimistic about everybody having their own ideals, but also their own sense of morality that they bring to things that is not really affected by the other people around them. Like, Riker's morality in that moment is not shown to be corrupt. It's shown that he is being led by somebody who's corrupt.
Yeah.
And he's just too naive to understand it. But it's really not that simple in the real world. People are quite literally brainwashed.
Yeah.
And the way that Riker describes it is more of like, oh, well, I was, kind of enthusiastic after getting out of the academy, but it don't be like that.
Yeah. This just reminded me that, like, the other day I sort of figured out a way to articulate the difference between TNG and DS9 is that TNG is aspirational. It's sort of like what they want, like the sort of general basis is like, and TOS as well. It's like, it's aspirational. This is what I want the world to look like. And I'm also going to use this to, like, sort of make commentary about current issues and stuff.
Yes.
Whereas a DS9 is much more reflective. It's much more of, like, I am specifically making the world more grounded and, like, more representative of, like, the dynamics of, like, what's currently happening. Right? Rather than just being, like, this ideal, it's like they're presenting it more towards current reality. Yeah, definitely. I would agree with that. I think the way that I've always kind of seen it is, if you look at Star Trek as the hero's journey, then TNG is the one that's building that legend, and it's overtly optimistic. Yeah.
Almost a little naive in how simplistic it approaches some issues. And I appreciate that about it, and that makes it feel very, like, heartwarming, very positive. And then the deconstruction of the legend ends up being DS9, which is always the part 2.
Yeah.
And that's where it looks more inward, as you said, reflective, and starts to look at the building blocks that make up that legend, and what is it that what happens when you test the strength of those building blocks. And I don't know, I feel like Gene Roddenberry at the time, or in that age, probably would not have liked DS9.
No, I don't think so.
But I think maybe if he were 20 years younger, he may have appreciated it a lot more. But that just says more about the state that Gene Roddenberry was in the last decade or so of his life.
Well, also, DS9 makes Starfleet, like, even more explicitly military.
Yes,
which
it
I
does.
think he
well,
would have
that's something that started. That's something that started in the films.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's actually something that Gene Roddenberry fought against quite a bit, but it ended up being very, not necessarily well received, as the stories that took that in, or that told, or are told from that perspective, also happen to be better told stories. So, like, the first film where it is the most overtly militaristic, almost quite suddenly, was Wrath of Khan, which, for obvious reasons, as we know, is kind of like the legendary part of the series that, like, everyone thinks of that when they think of, like, oh, what's really good Star Trek in terms of the films.
Yeah.
And that's the one that really embraces, like, this is a military hierarchy. This is an actual functioning unit of the Federation. And I do understand why Gene Roddenberry looked at that and was like, no, I don't like this militaristic style because it doesn't go with the kinds of stories that I want to tell.
Yeah.
And in the end, something like Wrath of Khan is not a kind of story that he would tell, but that's probably a better thing for Star Trek in the long run.
Yeah. Because like I said, I appreciate the vision. I appreciate that he's like, I want to represent what I want, what my ideal society is, right?
Yeah.
What I appreciate about DS9 is that it questions it. It questions paradise, right? Mm-hmm. And it's sort of like, and I think I've talked about this before, how like the writers of Star Trek, they are still influenced by their culture and their surroundings, right? So you have a lot of like American exceptionalism and imperialism leaking into the show, despite what they want to actually like what they're trying to do, right? Despite their mission. And so because this is relevant now too, it's like, you know, people in America and Canada too, right? Like we have our blind spots as well, is that like, you know, we're like, oh, we're so great, we're so peaceful, we're so whatever. But it's like, if you look outside of yourself, outside of your society, and I mean this for both America and Canada, is like, oh, actually, this sort of safety and peacefulness and stuff that we have is built upon a lot of shitty stuff. And we aren't actually like, maybe we aren't like fully the good guys, you know? Maybe like we have flaws, and like maybe like people don't like us for legitimate reasons, that sort of thing. I mean, DS9, it's ultimately a Star Trek show, so it is going to like ultimately decide Federation good. But it leans in more to sort of like questioning, like, is the Federation really as great as like it's made out to be? Like, mm-hmm. maybe there's some like problems under the hood here that we can address, and as having that as like a reflection of, you know, of the real world, of like.
I mean, there was a TNG episode that dealt with that somewhat recently that we went through about. Oh damn! What was it that they were saying, that the Federation kind of like assimilates people, and like eliminates their cultures, and like given that episode didn't actually deal with that very well, but I do like that it brought it up. Yeah,
and they touched on it, but it's like it's baked into DS9, like it's baked into the whole series of like, you know, the Federation isn't this like perfect paradise, because DS9 plays off of what they established in TNG with the Bajorans, about how like in the episode, like when we start learning about the Bajorans in TNG, it's kind of established that like the Bajorans are like kind of like, I mean, fuck you guys stood by and didn't do anything while the Cardassians were like occupying and oppressing us, so like,
yep,
I don't give a shit about you. You know, I don't like your, like your, or government, you know?
Yeah.
Because I don't trust you, because you stood by and did nothing while people were suffering, so how great are you really?
It's they are gonna touch a little bit on that before we get to the end of the TNG, but I won't go into any of that because we'll be ruining stuff.
Yeah. But sorry, as usual, we get off on our DS9 tangent.
Yeah. But it will be there will be a good segue into DS9 towards the end of the show, actually, in terms of like an episode. But I believe this was Ron Moore's last TNG episode that he wrote. No, sorry, he co-wrote All Good Things. Okay, my bad. This is the last one that was like a standalone for him.
That he wrote like on his own. I mean,
Yeah,
like
he
no
does some...
no episode is truly written on like by one person, but like
No, absolutely not.
yeah, he doesn't have like a co-credit on this. But yeah, to be honest, I usually don't watch this episode, not for any particular reason. Like it's not that I don't like it; it's just like, nah.
Okay, fair enough.
And so rewatching it again, I'm like, oh yeah, this is a good episode.
Yeah, this is a great one.
And Dory, do you care about spoilers for the series Enterprise? I don't
For
think...
Enterprise? No, because we're probably not going to watch it, right?
Yeah.
So, no, I don't care about that.
So this episode is actually... This TNG episode is actually integrated into an episode of Enterprise, the series Enterprise. Mm-hmm. And that episode is the series finale of fucking Enterprise.
Oh.
Yeah, everyone everyone thought the show was kind of shit, but especially people thought the series finale was shit because
it's considered like universally bad.
Yeah, the series finale does not center around the Enterprise crew at all. It centers around Riker. So
wait, what?
Yeah.
The episode doesn't actually take place in Enterprise. It takes place in the TNG episode, with Riker going using the holodeck to kind of live through this momentous day of Enterprise's last mission before they formed the Federation, and it's truly like a really shitty mission. It's like him and a series anti-hero antagonist going on some like shitty save the day kind of mission in like a really crappy fucking set that they have, and it's just like entirely uninteresting. They forgot to make it a two-parter episode because they didn't have the money, so they made it a single-part episode, so it's rushed. And Riker is experiencing the entire episode as the cook on the ship through the holodeck.
Yeah. Yeah,
and so he's essentially using it as... It's supposed to be like a parallel for him deciding whether or not to tell the captain. But the thing is, the actual story doesn't have a hell of a lot to do with that. So, like, it's not a very good parallel to begin with. And to make matters worse, the only two TNG actors that are featured in it are Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis, and they both look 15 years older than when TNG was on air.
Yeah.
And that makes it much more awkward.
Yeah, so basically, like, the premise of the episode is that the episode is set during when this TNG episode is happening, and Riker is using the holodeck to try to work out whether he should tell the truth or not. And yeah, so it's just so yeah, it's just Riker just awkwardly as the cook in random scenes of this episode of Enterprise, and that's the series finale.
What he ends up doing
that's not
is
some
like
mid-season filler episode. That's the series finale.
What he ends up doing is like chatting with various members of the crew on Enterprise, and it's weird because it mostly ends up being like him kind of playing therapist for them, because the cook is the only one who gets to deal with like everyone on the ship, I guess. Mm-hmm. And supposedly everyone knows him. For the record, the cook is a character that you have never seen in the show at this point. He's been mentioned, but he does not exist.
Yeah.
He's
that is wild.
Yeah, it is a very strange choice. Apparently, it was given to the producers to write, who were Brennan Braga and what's his fucking name? Rick Berman. Mm-hmm. And so they co-wrote it together, and yeah, it's just atrocious. Funnily enough, the two episodes prior to it, they're a two-parter episode, are considered to be the real finale, that ends up being much more interesting.
Yeah. So, you can, I think that's very indicative of the decision-making about that series. I just had to mention that because this episode is linked to that one.
That is wild.
Yeah. All right. Anyone have anything to say about the episode?
I am concerned about the amount of people that were in Starfleet intelligence that were in on this. Because Picard says that there's a bunch of other people are being court-martialed, and that the head of Starfleet intelligence was like on board with this, so they all knew about this super illegal device, and were like, hey, do anything you can to get it back. Risk an entire ship of over 1,000 people.
Yeah, it kind of
for an item that will fucking wreck a 60-year-old treaty.
Yeah. It kind of continues the theme of like the Federation like higher ups being corrupt.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, they got 2 admirals out of this episode that were bad.
Yeah.
Alan Moore joked that there has to be something in the water back at Starfleet headquarters.
Yeah.
Seriously, what is going on there? Was it
I
San
love it because
Francisco
he's
or
the
something?
one who wrote it.
Yeah. I think it's like a I mean, it's just a reflection of the real world, right? Like it kind of,
what are they putting in the cooler there?
everyone
Jesus.
kind of expects you know, higher ups to be corrupt.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So even when you're writing this like idyllic world, it's like, yeah, the government's still corrupt.
It makes it a lot more sense though now why like the Enterprise crew has had to go on top secret missions, because Starfleet intelligence clearly doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And they've got their own agendas, so they'll continue to put risk other people's lives for their own shit. So makes a little bit more sense.
Last interesting bit of tidbit information about this is that Ron Moore's idea for it actually came from a book called Raise the Titanic, which it was it's one of those books that like was famous like on the bestseller lists and things like that when it was topical, like when it came out, and has since kind of fallen off and everyone's forgotten about it because it was one of those things that was more of a fad than an actually like well-written book. So I mean, the book is fine, but whatever. But it's a story about there being like a fucking secret weapon buried on the Titanic, so they're trying to raise the ship. And so the story kind of revolves around that, and he was like, what if there's a ship with a secret weapon? And he managed to turn it into an absolutely fucking excellent Riker story. So like, good job, man.
Yeah.
It's better than what inspired it by quite a bit.
Yeah. I feel, it's kind of like the Da Vinci Code. Like, when it was popular, it was super popular, and then fell off very fast.
That's right. Yeah,
like,
exactly that.
Like, as soon as it wasn't, like, popular anymore, it was forgotten. Because there are things that, like, wane in popularity, but, like, people still remember, and it's still, like, you know, has a cult following or whatever. And then there's other things where it's, like, once it's not trendy anymore, no one gives a shit.
Yep.
I will dispute not dispute, but personally, for me, I have brought up the Da Vinci Code multiple times on this podcast.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like...
Not because I like it, but because it is, to me, a very normal reference. And so Da Vinci Code, and for some reason, Dan Brown's... The books that I have read by him, they're not great. Yeah. But they, for some reason... do not leave my fucking brain.
No, that's fair.
So even outside of the podcast, I will like it. If I see something, I'll be like, yes, from the Da Vinci Code, or when I was at the Vatican last year, I was like, yes, I saw this in Angels and Demons. And then when I was in Florence, I was like, oh yes, this was an Inferno. I'm like, why do I?
Yeah.
Why do I have fucking Dan Brown's shit in my Brown?
I guess like I was more so like thinking into the future, because like I do acknowledge that it's not like fully out of the collective memory,
Oh
of
no, I'm
people's
sure
yet,
it is.
but-
I'm sure it's out of most people's.
Yeah.
But I, for some reason, cannot let go of these fucking books, movies, and even they turned the one that takes place in Washington D.C. about the Freemasons into a TV show, which I did watch.
No, that's fair, because I also like I think that's valid, because they are dumb but fun, you know.
Yeah.
But definitely, like, it's not completely gone from the collective memory yet, but it will be.
Not
Yes.
unless I keep it up.
Yeah.
I'm the one that keeping it alive.
Yeah.
I'm the one keeping Dan Brown's
There-
bookography, his books alive, his fucking the world of Robert Langdon and Friends alive.
They're like contemporary mythological thrillers is the way that I look at stories
Yeah.
like this.
It's
I should get
but
royalties
they're-
the amount of that I
like,
talk about Dan Brown shit.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a better example to use, but like
Not
that's
royalties,
just
kickback. I should get a kickback, not royalties.
Yeah,
I don't
but-
own Dan Brown.
there's definitely a lot of properties that are like, oh yeah, I forgot that was like a thing.
Yeah,
And it's like
for
you
sure.
remember that it existed, but like sometimes you forget like just how big it was at the time,
Right.
Oh, for
and-
sure, for sure.
and you're like, wow, yeah.
I mean, you could kind of almost, I would almost like, kind of clump almost Game of Thrones in there to
That-
a
I
certain
was-
extent.
that was one of
Because
the things I
It was so fucking big when it was on, and
Yeah.
because of the absolute horseshit last season, the way that it has truly just like dropped out of pop culture.
yeah, it's disappeared from relevance like just so completely. But
Yeah.
the reason why, because I thought about that, but the reason why I chose not to use this as an example is because one of the things people remember specifically about the show was that it was such a huge phenomenon, and that's why it was such a big deal that the last season was so horseshit, and why people that's why it's such a big deal that people dropped it. Because I think like one of the main distincting features of Game of Thrones was that it was so huge.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Like that's like, I think its popularity is like inextricably linked to it as a property. Like I think you can't bring up Game of Thrones without bringing up how fucking huge it was and how hard it dropped the ball.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
completely agree. And it's funny because it happens so fast too. Like even
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that are fans of it will just be like, "Oh, well, like the season leading up to it was like showing cracks and it was having a lot of problems and it got a lot weaker then." And like the description from people who are really familiar with the show kind of describes it like looking like it was going downhill very quickly. But when
Yeah.
you look at sorry, not very quickly. Very kind of gradually. Like they all saw it happening in real time. But if you look at like contemporary for the era reviews of the show, they were still highly rated until like the last 4 or 5 episodes when it just fucking plummets.
Yeah, because I think a lot of because there were people that were like, oh, this is starting to like not be very good, but a
Yep.
lot of people had like so much time invested into it that like they were willing to look past that until it was just undeniable.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
But Dory, you are right about like just how quickly it fucking disappeared from the general like zeitgeist. Like,
Yeah,
like-
even like there is the prequel, the House of the Dragon.
House of the
I
Dragon,
think?
yeah.
yeah, House of the Dragon.
That show, people don't even like. It doesn't even make me think. I know it's a prequel, but it doesn't even make me think of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's to me, it's completely. And I think I remember reading that they're doing another spin-off or something to do with the Game of Thrones universe. But again, I feel like the Game of Thrones itself is so fucking detached from all of this now.
Yeah.
Yep.
It just, it's gone. And I really liked Game of Thrones until it disappointed me.
It's also
Yeah.
impressive that it killed those two showrunners' careers like immediately. They had like
'cause-
some of the
'cause didn't-
biggest properties that could ever be handed to them lined up, and then as soon as the show was over, they all basically got canceled.
No, yeah, that's
Yeah,
like
because
that's,
didn't they rush through to do Star Wars,
Yeah.
and then then their Star Wars project got canceled?
yeah,
Yep.
that's like one of the most like interesting parts of the lore of what happened is that like the guys who were doing the show like really just wanted to move on and like do Star Wars and do this shit, so they half-assed the last season. And then because they half-assed it, they lost all those opportunities that they were half-assing to get to. So, yeah, it's like, it's what happened with Game of Thrones is so fascinating. It's so interesting.
What? One day someone will do a documentary
Oh, I'm sure.
about Game of Thrones and
Yeah.
what happened with it.
Someone's gonna do like their dissertation on it.
Yep.
Or there's just going to be a like 2.5 hour YouTube video one day
Yes.
about
No,
Game of Thrones extensive version.
no, you're so right. This is like perfect subject matter for a video essay. Like a
Oh my
YouTube
god, it
video
makes me
essay.
think of like, I don't know if Jenny Nicholson ever watched Game of Thrones, but if she ever did, like her style of like long form essays, if she ever did a Game of Thrones
Oh,
deep
yeah.
dive episode, oh, the way I would park down anywhere and just
Yeah.
watch that
Dude, a Jenny Nicholson Game of Thrones video would be incredible.
is so good.
Yeah.
So fucking good.
Not gonna lie, I kind of want to see Folding Ideas do it because he's just so like absolutely scathing in his wit.
Yeah, and he's also like his bread and butter is like media analysis and like
Exactly,
cultural
yeah.
analysis. Yeah.
Yeah, he's also incredibly pedantic about them, and I love that.
Yeah. All right. I think it's fair to move on at this point.
Yes.
That's cool,
Yeah.
everyone? All right. So, yeah, that was Game of Thrones corner. And now we'll move on to favorite moments and lines.
Okay, so there's a lot. I have a lot for this episode. The Captain Picard Day stuff, that was pretty funny. Riker's
Yeah.
impression of Picard. I did like Picard telling Admiral Blackwell that he is a role model. I liked Picard saying, oh, there's going to be a Commander Riker Day, and he's considering making an entry himself. I liked the first exchange with Cyril, the Romulan, and Picard, the super passive-aggressive exchange that I read earlier that I won't read again because it's long. I liked the fucking crazy tension between, like, Riker and Eric.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought about, when I was watching this episode, I was like, should I come up with a nickname for him? But honestly, because I hated him so much, I could not put in the energy to
Yeah.
come up with something. So I just went by, what is the most disrespectful thing that I could do for a man like this? Call him by his first name.
To be fair, you have done that before with other characters. Just use their first
Yes, I
name.
have.
Yeah.
Yes, but I mean it with malicious this, like with like,
Oh,
I'm
yeah. I
with
feel,
with disdain this time.
yeah. I
Because
feel
it's
like
someone,
you mean
he
it with
feels like
disdain a lot of
someone.
times.
Oh, I
'Cause
do,
it-
absolutely. But with him particular, because no one ever calls him Eric this entire episode,
True.
except when they introduce him. So I think someone like him who likes the duty, who likes, I think, the structure of the military and the fact that also he uses his fucking position over and over again. And I think he likes his title
Yeah.
as Admiral, that someone just calling him by his first name, I feel like he would hate that.
Yeah.
So
I
thought that's the most disrespectful thing I could think of for this man in particular.
I think you're
For other
right.
people, I do use their first names with no like malicious intent, but for him, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
You definitely did for Bruce, though.
Oh,
Bruce
but
Maddox.
yeah, Bruce. Oh yeah, Bruce can go fuck himself. I hate that guy.
I'm impressed that
like-
you remember who he is.
Oh yeah, he's the guy who really thought he could fuck with Data.
Yeah, yeah.
He really thought. I remember the people I don't like more than the people I like.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
My disdain, my anger is stronger than my love of some things. There is one thing that conquers everything, and that is dogs.
Yeah.
But other than that, I remember the things I dislike, or the people rather. Maybe not the things, but the people. If someone has wronged me, I think with most people, if you have been wronged, you will remember the thing that went bad or someone has wronged you, and you'll hold on to it a lot longer than any compliments or nice moments or whatever. So,
yeah, unfortunately, negative emotions are the most
so
long-lasting.
I remember. Listen, that's why I have my enemies list and not my favorite people's list. And I know I've mentioned the enemies list on here multiple times, and it is a real list. It's on my phone. As a little peek behind that little curtain, one of the people on that list is Damien Hirst. I hate Damien Hirst. I hate him so much.
I'll be honest, I don't know who that is.
He's such a dick. He's a quote-unquote artist, and he wasted so much of my time. I was watching a Netflix documentary, and I love art. I love art history. I love all that shit. And I watched a documentary on Netflix that really I was enjoying it, and then I learned it was a fucking fake documentary that was all by Damien Hirst. He wasted my time. He's also a bad artist. He comes up with stupid ideas. He's the one, he put like a shark, like a full ass shark in like basically like suspended in like a glass thing, and there he's like, art. He's a piece of shit. I hate him. I hate him so much. He's a waste of time. There's so many more artists that deserve
he did like a zebra
the attention.
too.
Oh, I'm sure. He's an asshole. I hate him. He wasted my time. I will never forgive him for that. Amongst other things. Sorry.
Also
Okay,
covered
so
a
we're talking about
skull
favorite.
in diamonds or some shit.
Yes. What a fucking waste. What an absolute, so stupid.
Yeah.
So stupid. Not clever, not interesting, stupid. I hate you, Damien Hirst. Not that he's ever going to listen to this podcast, but I hate you, Damien Hirst. You are on my list. Along with, which should not be surprising to anyone else, Carl Sagan.
Oh, fuck. He got involved with NFTs. Okay, yeah, fuck
Who?
this guy.
Damien Hirst? Damien
It
Hirst?
looks like it.
Yeah, he fucking sucks. He's the fucking worst.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah,
in 2023, he announced The Beautiful Paintings, a series of works that riff on his 1990s spin paintings, now made with a generative algorithm and redeemable as physical paintings, NFTs, or both. Yeah, fuck this guy.
Wow.
Yeah, he sucks.
I'm impressed by how much I hate that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know.
Yep. Look him up. He's horrible.
Listen,
he sucks.
I only just learned who this person is, and I fully support him being on your enemies list.
Yeah. Yeah, he's very high on my enemies list.
Yeah.
Carl Sagan is also on my enemies list, but for different reasons.
Yeah. That's more of like, you're making
I don't
me feel too many
hate
things.
Carl Sagan, but he makes, I don't hate him, but he's caused a lot of stress in my life.
That's fair.
It's caused me an awful lot of stress. Okay, so back to what I like.
Yeah,
okay,
sorry.
I liked the Picard and Riker discussion, like the Riker goes to give Picard the report, the scan analysis, and Picard is like, so not only was the Pegasus carrying sensitive equipment, like that whole exchange was really good, and the whole back and forth about like what the fuck happened and why this is so fucking weird and strange and bizarre and what the fuck. And then Picard, I did like his last line of that a lot, where he's like, and I just have to trust that you will not let Pressman put this ship at unnecessary risk. And if I find that trust has been misplaced, then I will have to reevaluate the command structure of this ship. Dismissed. So cold, so good.
I think what I really like about that line, actually, is the fact that when you go over to the scene with Pressman on the Pegasus, and he's just like, "I made you, Mister, and I can break you." That's his attempt to tear down Riker, and this is Picard's, and Picard's is just
this hits
a lot
way
more
deeper.
powerful. Yeah,
Yeah. I love Picard's line when they're gonna take the Enterprise into the asteroid, and Picard says to Data, "Mr. Data, will you please note in the ship's log that this action is being taken over my explicit objection?" I love the Picard little, not pettiness, but it's like that little bit of him being like, "I need people to know I'm against this. I'm not on board. I don't like this."
Yeah.
So I really like that line.
He's balancing, like, doing his duty and the safety of the ship.
I really like that when Data stands up in that scene, actually, he's looking at Pressman the entire time. He doesn't look at Picard. He's just like, "It is so noted, sir." And it's like, wait a minute. Why is the ship's log in your head?
Yeah. And I liked Picard and Riker's little scene at the end. I liked Riker being like, "Oh, actually, for this situation where we're stuck in the asteroid, have I got a device to use for you guys?" And Eric's like, "Oh, you ended your career, Will." And then he tells, then there's like a few things, and then he's like, tells Worf to escort Picard to his quarters, and Worf defiantly crosses his arms. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just the funniest way you could refuse as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of really good moments in this. I like the tension. I think this was a really good episode, not just for Riker, but for Picard. Mm-hmm. Picard got a lot of good moments. I think that Eric was a good villain. I think everyone else was great in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
that's it. I didn't really want to read over. I think I've read a lot of the lines. Like I've read scenes, I think, at this point, that I don't want to like go back and read those again.
My favorite is just sort of overall, like, Jonathan Frakes acting. Like, it's I think it's really hard to appreciate, like, just how skillful what he did is. Like, when Eric comes on board, Riker's demeanor immediately changes. Like, his whole vibe is off, and it's like, and it's all very subtle. Like, you pick up on it, but it's not like Jonathan Frakes is doing anything over the top, but like you really feel the vibe change. Like you really feel it, and that is like due to how well Jonathan Frakes acted everything. And like all the subtle looks of like when, you can tell that there's more here happening, but like, you don't know what yet. And like, you can tell Riker knows more than he's letting on, and it's like keeping a secret and all that stuff. Like, it's just really well done. And like, you can't, to be able to like show that contrast and have that subtlety, it's like you need to be able to fully embody the character, and like that's not always an easy thing to do. Acting is more than just saying the lines, saying the lines convincingly, because like he is acting like at every single second, like, because a lot of people sometimes they will act only when they're speaking or saying lines, but Jonathan Frakes is acting at every single moment. He is acting. So that's
LeVar Burton is the one directing him too. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, he directed that?
Yeah, this is only his second episode that he directed.
Yeah.
Oh, well, he did a great job. This is a great episode. I totally missed that. Good for him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, and I just want to say before I let you go, Jeff, unfortunately, Dory, this episode does not affect shit going forward. The next episode, Riker's just fucking on board like nothing happened.
Well, I mean, like, selfishly, I don't really want anything to happen to Riker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair.
But at the same time, it would be nice if, Someone in passing was like, "Wow, that trial's going crazy."
Yeah, I'm
About
glad
all
you're
that
back or
corruption
whatever.
and
Yeah.
and Starfleet intelligence. Good job testifying, Riker, or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe there's an offhand comment, but I don't remember. But I highly doubt it.
I'll keep my ears open.
All right, Jeff.
bef-
Apologies.
Before I start, actually, Maggie, regarding the scene that you just mentioned of Riker meeting Pressman for the first time in the turbolift, not turbolift, in the transporter room,
Yeah.
you noted that like Riker is like on, or Jonathan Frakes is like on the entire time. For
Yeah.
anybody who's listening to the podcast and like has not or has access to the episode and can rewatch that scene, just look at Picard during that scene, because it's this is the part that I think is not as well done, because the way that that Patrick Stewart is looking back and forth at the two of them because he's anticipating the lines that are coming is actually really amusing. Especially because he's in the middle of the frame, so like it's a bit obvious that he's there. I only noticed it because when I do the episodes, I gather screenshots, so I end up having to like go back and forth a bunch of times, and I caught his eyes in that and was like, oh, okay. At one point, he almost seems amused, and it's kind of amusing for the audience to be watching as well. I know he's not who you would be paying attention to, but it is there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm rewatching it now, like in while you were talking, like just on mute or whatever. And I think what he's going for is, I think he's trying to communicate that Picard's sensing something is off, but
I think so too. It's just his look looks more sly than anything else.
Yeah, it's a very rare Patrick Stewart L.
I would call it like an almost unguarded Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, the scene that does it the most for me is actually not a Riker scene, oddly enough, even though it's a very powerful episode for him, because I love Romulans. They are my favorite fucking species in all of Star Trek. I love how scheming and conniving they are about things. They're just so much fun in how they revel in like misdirection and deception. And I cannot get enough of that first scene between Riker and the Romulan commander. There is so much to love about the way that this guy portrays it. He has not been in Star Trek before. He gets a bit part in one of the films, but other than that, the guy actually does not have much of a career. Not that I can find, anyway.
Yeah.
He was
the guy
on
that
Young
played
and the
Romulan?
Restless.
Yeah,
And
he was on like he was on one episode of a bunch of different like famous series, but like that's
bit part character.
pretty much it,
but he, like I said, he was on Young and the Restless, and that's about it. He had a reoccurring role in that for a little while, and I don't know how long it went for, because I do not care at all about Young and the Restless.
Yeah, but I looked him up, like he was on like one episode of The West Wing, one episode of The Wire, like one episode of this and that sort of thing.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking at some of those scenes again, like while you were talking, and I also have to shout out the actor that played Eric the Admiral was also really great in his like facial expressions and stuff, in terms of like you can very clearly see the conversation happening, the secret conversation happening between Riker and him, like just through their like body language and stuff. And shout out to the editing as well. Now that I'm looking at it like again, the way the shots are put together like also really help in communicating that there's like something fishy happening.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so time to move on to predictions for the next episode. So Dory, the next episode is called Homeward, and it is a Worf episode.
Ooh.
So tidbit is that a family member of Worf's sort of convinces him to do something sketchy, and it just sort of gets deeper and deeper and deeper until it's way off the rails.
Okay, well, I mean, there's 2 family members I can think of off the top of my head. I could see.
This is a brand new family member.
Oh.
Yeah, a family member of Worf's we haven't met yet. I will say that.
Drama.
Oh, okay, because I was going to say I could truly see Curran wanting Worf to do something fucking weird.
Yeah.
Or even Alexander.
Yeah.
Asking Worf for something weird.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. I completely forgot after... So, sorry, Worf's family member wants him to do what?
So, Worf's family member tries to convince him to do something, like, slightly sketchy, but then he just has to do more and more sketchy things, and eventually just gets really fucking over. It snowballs, yeah. So the 2 main things I'm looking for is, like, who do you think the family member is, and what is their relation to Worf, and what do you think they're trying to get him to do, and, like, how do you think it goes off the rails?
Okay, well, I don't think it would be a sibling, because at this far into the game, a surprise sibling feels weird. I can probably see, like, an uncle or an aunt.
Yeah.
Or something that maybe Worf, but, like, the Klingon, like, his biological aunt or uncle or something, who reconnects with him. Or maybe a cousin or something. Just because, like, I feel like it's more likely they'd find a Klingon or floating around in space than, like, anyone of, like, his Earth family.
Yeah.
Also, I can't imagine his mother, who I love so much, would ever lead him astray.
Yeah.
So, but you know what? I feel like either, like, a cousin maybe wants Worf. Okay. My very first thought was an MLM. Worf gets caught in a pyramid scheme. No, that wouldn't happen. I can kind of picture someone trying to explain a pyramid scheme to Worf, though.
Yeah.
And he would say that the perpetrator is without honor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So my second thought after
Pyramid scheme.
MLM is that maybe he is, like, a cousin who's maybe interested in, like, maybe joining Starfleet. But maybe there's, like, some, like, but maybe they did something a little questionable that, like, maybe it needs Worf's help to, like, do something to clear their name or something. But it is, like, weird or something, and kind of leads to another, like, it leads to some other shit. And then, sorry, the other thing was, like, what does it lead to?
Yeah, like, how do you think that it goes off the rails? Like, you know, it's sort of like someone asks you to do, like, one tiny thing that's maybe, like, sketch, but then they keep asking for more and more and more, and it just you get in over your head, right? And it ends up being ridiculous.
I've got an idea. I think that he asked Worf to, like, pretend to be someone else. And I think Worf trying to come up with this, like, elaborate undercover identity where it just, like, this is maybe the cousin has, like, said that Worf is, you know, a completely different occupation, something that Worf has, like, no familiarity, and he has to sort of improv on the spot, and it just gets escalated to, like, oh, well, like, we need someone to, like, you happen to be, like, this job, great, well, we need someone to help with this thing who exactly is your job. And Worf's like, oh, fuck.
You're a doctor, we need someone to do surgery. Like,
yeah, something like that. So it's like the undercover thing, and Worf has to sort of figure out sort of in a panic of like having to do something he's like massively unqualified for, all to like help his cousin. And because this thing will then help him maybe clear his name or get this reference for this other thing so he can, I don't know, maybe not join Starfleet, but like qualify for something else. I just imagine if someone needs Worf's help specifically, it might be related to Starfleet, or or maybe someone is considering having children and they're like, Worf, you're a dad. What's the deal with that?
Yeah.
And then they have, oh my God, Worf babysits a bunch of children.
Nice.
Someone, okay, scratch all that. Worf's cousin leaves him in charge with more and more children throughout the day, and Worf is not prepared to take care of like 15 kids. Worf inadvertently becomes a camp counselor.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Worf becomes a camp counselor.
Alrighty. Well, if you want to see if Dory's correct, watch along with us and join us for the next episode of Fully Functional, a TNG podcast.
Goodbye.